Okay, we're gonna keep this short. I'm already late for the DA. First up, Phelps, Bukowski. We got a report of a brand new Packard abandoned in an empty lot off 2nd Street between Olive and Grand. PR is one Oswald Jacobs says the vehicle was dumped in his backyard. There's a patrolman on site. Get down there and see what you can turn up.
By this point, the only two franchises that Rockstar Games pays any sort of meaningful attention to are Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, which in turn means that the developer has a host of beloved properties in its catalog that have gone all but dormant. Among those, one in particular that holds a very special place in the hearts of practically millions is LA Noire, which sadly never really managed to make it past its first game.
I hear it's you who knocked down Malefactor from the shooting yesterday. Yes, sir. Then tell me, Boyle, I hear you're quite the climber, a man of initiative. How would you like a chance at smiting this man with the sword of justice?
But what a first game it was! Releasing in 2011 for Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, before getting PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch ports in the years that followed, the open-world title was truly a breath of fresh air. And though it was obviously plagued by a number of behind-the-scenes development issues at the now-defunct Team Bondi, the end product enjoyed widespread critical acclaim, and over time, impressive sales to the point that it's still surprising that we never got an LA Noire 2.
I'm Detective Phelps, and this is Detective Bukowski.
Have you any idea how long I've been waiting to speak with you? I am needed back at the consulate, and you keep me here like a common criminal.
All right, friend, let's take a deep breath and start all over again.
Whether that will ever change is anyone's best guess, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the original game, and just what made it as good as it was. There's a lot to go over here, but I suppose it makes sense to start off with the game's use of facial capture technology, which at the time was nothing short of revolutionary. Motion and performance capture have become commonplace in games now, but back in 2011, at a time where the technology was still very rarely being used in the industry, LA Noire almost made it its star attraction, capturing the nuanced facial tics and movements of the actors' faces, which enabled some of the most detailed and authentic performances that we had seen in games at that time. That was also something that the game made use of in its gameplay, with players being tasked with studying characters' faces and facial movements during interrogations to try and figure out if they were being honest about specific things. Did it work perfectly? Well, no. LA Noire's faces often found themselves lingering into Uncanny Valley territory, while you'll also find plenty of hilarious clips of facial animation glitches in the game out there. But by and large, the end result was massively impressive and certainly helped the game craft a very unique identity for itself. All of that was, unsurprisingly, also a massive boost for the game's storytelling ambitions, which, incidentally, was another area that LA Noire excelled in. Boasting perfect pacing, heavy stakes, and satisfying emotional payoffs, LA Noire was nothing short of a storytelling masterpiece. Deserving special praise was its cast of characters, and in particular, protagonist Cole Phelps, played excellently by Aaron Staton. Charting Cole's career as a cop across different departments was captivating from the first second to the last. Thanks to its tight writing, the game did an excellent job of exploring the ugly nuances of everything from organizational corruption to rampant crime to Cole's own personal demons. To this day, LA Noire probably ranks as one of the best narratives that we've experienced in a Rockstar title. All of that was helped even more by the game's period setting.
Give it up, Bowers! There's nowhere left to go!
Looks like we've got the place to ourselves.
It's no secret to anyone that Rockstar's open-world titles have an incredible track record where their settings are concerned. And LA Noire's recreation of 1947 Los Angeles is right up there with the best of the open-world cities that we've seen in games published by Rockstar. In terms of its systems, mechanics, or optional activities, it may not have broken any new ground. But, though the open-world setting was a by-the-numbers one in those areas, where it really stood out was how authentic and incredibly atmospheric it was. LA Noire captured the atmosphere of its period setting to pitch perfection, and simply existing in the world and driving about its obsessively detailed streets was a pleasure in and of itself. More than anything else, it served as the perfect backdrop for the story's noir, detective thriller trappings. So perfect was the game's blend of its settings and its central premise, it was impossible not to be impressed by not only how singular its vision was, but how cohesive it remained in its execution. All that in spite of how disparate so many of the experience's individual elements might have seemed on paper. Of course, from a pure moment-to-moment gameplay perspective, there was plenty to like about LA Noire. With its driving mechanics and its combat, the game didn't exactly offer anything we hadn't seen already in a bevy of open-world games before, but even so, those activities remained enjoyable on a fundamental level. It wasn't the combat or the driving that really served as the game's highlight, but rather how immaculately its gameplay loop captured its whole investigative premise. Chasing leads, gathering clues, catching suspects, interrogating people. A lot of games have had players engage in such activities, but very few of them managed to do it this effectively. LA Noire truly put you in the shoes of someone investigating a variety of heinous crimes, and putting all the pieces together and unraveling the game's many mysteries remained immensely satisfying right up until the credits rolled.
Tell us about this kid, Gabriel. You had a run-in with him?
Mecánico, a presumptuous young man who did not know his place. He presumed to ask me questions.
We do a lot of presuming here in the United States, Consul General. It comes with the turf. So a Consul General gets in a public row with a junior car mechanic. You expect me to believe that that's all that happened?
I expect you to draw your own conclusions.
In more ways than one, it was a game with lofty ambitions, and more importantly, a game that could actually back those ambitions with how it implemented them. Above all else, though, it was unique. Open-world games are a dime a dozen now, and even though they weren't nearly as common back in 2011, they weren't exactly sparse either. In spite of their numbers, however, very rarely did they try something new and different the way LA Noire did. All of which brings us back full circle to the question we started with. LA Noire was obviously a great game and certainly sold quite well too, having shipped 7.5 million units worldwide by September 2017. And given the fact that the game launched for PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch just a couple of months after that, it's safe to say that its sales numbers have grown since that last update. So, how come we never got a sequel? Yeah, the developer Team Bondi had to shut itself down mere months after the game came out, but in the years that followed, Rockstar Games' parent company Take-Two Interactive called LA Noire an important franchise for its catalog on a number of occasions. However, with the exception of re-releases and the VR case files, which launched in December 2017, LA Noire has been almost entirely dead. Will that ever change? There's nothing that suggests that it won't, but unfortunately, at the same time, there's nothing that suggests it will either. We sincerely hope we do get to see an LA Noire 2 at some point in the not-too-distant future, though, because clearly, this is a game that deserves a sequel. Hell, it demands one. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.